Before we examine our first case file, you need to know the difference between a phrase and a clause. If simple, compound, and complex sentences are still new to you, watch our introductory lesson on sentence types before continuing.
Hey everyone, and welcome, sentence detectives, to this explainer. Today, we aren't just students sitting in a regular old classroom. No way. We're investigators on a highly important mission. We're gonna uncover the hidden grammar secrets tucked right inside paragraph structures. We'll learn exactly how to spot different sentence types out in the wild, and honestly, more importantly, uncover exactly why writers choose to use them. So let's dive right into this.
Identifying sentence types in a paragraph is an investigation. It requires looking past how a sentence appears on the surface to see how it is actually built.
Section 1. The Briefing and Ground Rules. Before we start analyzing any evidence, we have one vital prerequisite.
All right, here's your checkpoint. I have one super important request for all of you. Please check out all the resources and watch the Basic Sentences Explainer before going any further. If you're still a little fuzzy about what simple, compound, complex, or minor sentences actually are, or maybe if you don't quite know the difference between a phrase and a clause, hey, don't worry at all. We've all been there. But please, pause this explainer right now, go watch that foundational explainer first, and then come right back here. This explainer is specifically designed for school students who already know those basics and are totally ready to identify these structures hiding inside real paragraphs.
Section 2. Detective Toolkit. Core Concepts. And that brings us to the absolute golden rule of our entire investigation. I want you to read this out loud with me, nice and slow. Do not count words. Count main clauses. Seriously, English grammar absolutely does not work on word count. A sentence doesn't magically become complex just because it looks super long.
We do not count words, we count main clauses. As this illustration shows, assuming a long sentence is complex is like assuming the tallest person in the school must be the principal. It is a visual illusion. This rule is essential because it prevents you from judging a sentence by its physical length. By counting main clauses, you move away from guessing and begin a structural analysis.
Section 3. The Field Protocol. Step-by-step method. Every good detective follows a solid process. So here are your 3 steps.
First, we ignore the phrases. These are decorations that don't change the sentence type. Second, we isolate the main clauses, the pillars of the sentence. Finally, we look for subordinating conjunctions like because, although, or since that introduce subordinate clauses.
Section 4. The Investigation. Analyzing evidence. It's time to step up to the crime scene.
All right, here's the unprocessed evidence. It's a full paragraph. But before we do any intense detective work, let's just read it naturally, to sit back and enjoy the flow of the writing.
Read this paragraph once. By the end of the evening, after hours of heavy traffic and continuous noise, the narrow road was finally becoming quiet. The tired travelers, who had been walking since dawn, slowly continued their journey, and the shopkeepers pulled down their shutters. In the distance, the streetlights flickered on, and silence spread across the empty road. Peace at last. In our first sentence, we begin by stripping away the opening. By the end of the evening, and hours of heavy traffic are phrases. They provide context, but contain no finite verb. Once we set them aside, only one main clause remains. The narrow road was finally becoming quiet. Because there is only one main clause and 0 subordinate clauses, this is a simple sentence. Its word count does not change its grammatical classification. Writers use these long opening phrases to control pacing. By placing several pieces of background information before the main clause, the writer forces the reader to slow down, establishing a calm atmosphere before the core idea arrives. For our second sentence, we isolate the independent thoughts. We have 2. The tired travelers slowly continued their journey, and the shopkeepers pulled down their shutters. Both are main clauses that can stand alone. However, notice the word who, introducing the phrase who had been walking since dawn. This is a relative clause. It provides detail about the travelers, but cannot survive as a sentence on its own. It is a subordinate clause. Our evidence total is 2 main clauses and 1 subordinate clause. This makes the final verdict a compound complex sentence. This structure allows the writer to embed a secondary detail, the traveler's exhaustion, inside the primary action of the journey. By using a subordinate clause for the detail and a compound structure to link the travelers to the shopkeepers, the writer creates a scene where multiple layers of information move forward at once. In the third sentence, we ignore the phrase "in the distance." That leaves us with two main clauses: the street lights flickered on, and silence spread across the empty road. They are linked by the coordinating conjunction and. This is a compound sentence. By using this structure, the writer gives both clauses equal grammatical weight. This suggests the two events are of equal importance and are happening simultaneously as the scene settles. Finally, look at peace at last. As the VO says subject, the first red X appears. It has no subject and no finite verb. It is a minor sentence. Removing the formal requirements of a subject and verb forces the reader to focus entirely on the image of peace. This creates a sudden, memorable conclusion by stripping the grammar down to its barest form.
The rhythm of writing. So, we know how to identify these sentences, but why do writers even bother to use them?
Think of your paragraph as a visual heartbeat monitor. It shows us that structural variety dictates emotional beats. Look back at the sequence of our evidence. We started with a simple sentence for a nice, slow build, then a compound complex sentence for dense, immersive action, then a compound sentence for a flowing, balanced resolution, and finally, a minor sentence for abrupt silence. If every single sentence looked exactly the same, your reader would flatline from pure boredom by sentence 3. Good writers manipulate grammar to shift the pacing. Grammar isn't just some boring set of rules to memorize, it's your ultimate toolkit to completely control the reader's experience.
Writers change these structures to manage the reader's experience. Varying clause types prevents repetitive prose, allowing the writer to shift pacing from a slow build to a sudden stop. Test your investigation skills on this sentence. Because it was raining, the match was canceled. Identify the subordinate clause and the sentence classification. The conjunction because creates a subordinate clause, which is attached to one main clause. This is a complex sentence. Recognizing these structures reveals the mechanics behind effective pacing. Once you can identify how a writer builds a scene, you gain the same control over the rhythm of your own paragraphs.
So the crucial point is making sure you have a really reliable way to remember all of this for your own schoolwork. Here's the master sentence matrix. I highly recommend taking a mental snapshot of this beautiful chart right now. It breaks everything down strictly by clause counts. One main clause is a simple sentence. Two or more main clauses is a compound sentence. One main and one or more subordinate clauses is a complex sentence. Two or more mains with a subordinate is a compound complex sentence. And 0 verbs makes a minor sentence. Keep this visual anchor in your head as your ultimate cheat sheet.
Well, our investigation is officially closed for today. I am so incredibly proud of the hard work you put in. Remember, the more you practice identifying these sentence structures in the books you read, the more naturally they're going to appear in your own writing. I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Think about your next essay. How will it sound, and how will it feel to your teacher now that you know exactly how to control the heartbeat of your paragraph? Keep investigating, stay confident, and please like, share, and subscribe NestLingua for more grammar mysteries solved. Happy writing, sentence detectives!